I think the point can be argued that the most important step for you in terms of progress in the First Descendant is to finish the story of the game and your first playthrough of normal difficulty as soon as possible. That unlocks hard difficulty for you, which allows you to target farm specific things for specific builds, but also gives you the opportunity at higher roll chances at late game materials, which further on help you with researching new descendants and weapons and legendaries and so on. Now, I would argue then that the second most important thing for you to do is, once you do get to hard difficulty, is to take Bunny, which you will definitely have by that point since the game hands this descendant to you, and essentially create yourself a farming version of this character that you're able to blast through most of the content in the game, especially repeating activities for farming materials and Kuiper and gold and, you know, all those things. You need to be able to field a strong build with Bunny to be able to do this stuff efficiently and not drive yourself crazy as you repeat these activities over and over. So I released a video a day ago yesterday that basically showed some very efficient farm routes, and I've gotten some questions as to what my Bunny setup looks like for these routes. So I wanted to just go through my build and just explain some of the choices that I made and so on, and essentially just look at this setup that I have here, which is able to do every single farming activity in hard mode at the moment. I don't use this particular character to kill void intercept bosses or do difficult encounters where I have to fight a boss. That's a different kind of setup, but this is absolutely for mobbing and basically killing enemies in groups as fast as possible. First things first, just talking about weapons. Weapons really don't matter for the setup because this is all about AOE kills. You want to be doing massive explosions with Bunny's third ability, which is of course lightning emissions, this guy over here. So the point is that you want to be just doing massive AOE explosions. This comes from, you know, this is spell damage, so this isn't dependent on a weapon. However, the game basically hands you your first two thunder cages as well. So there's no reason why you shouldn't just take that thunder cage and essentially upgrade it, slap some critical mods in there and everything like that, if you do plan on shooting a little bit. But like I said, this is more just a stat stick if you're familiar with that terminology from playing RPGs and so on. But basically the point is your weapon should just be the thing that enables your reactor. So whatever your reactor is set to, so if your reactor is set to thunder cage, then yeah, carry a thunder cage. If your reactor is a rare reactor like I have here that has sniper rifles in it or shotguns in it or whatever, make sure that you're carrying in one of your 3 slots. You're carrying the required weapon so that you can activate the additional juice from that reactor. But then speaking of reactor, I believe that this is potentially the most important piece of the setup for Bunny. Yes, the mods that we're going to look at in the Descendant modules matter. And of course, your external components matter as well, but your reactor really factors in a lot into the damage that you can push out. And more specifically, you're looking for a tingling singularity reactor, since both the skill power boost ratios here, as you can see, electric skill power boost ratio and singular skill power boost ratio, help you to deal more damage with lightning emissions. Of course, lightning emissions is a electric skill, so let's just go there again quickly. So of course this is an electric skill, but it's also a singular skill, as you can see right there underneath the portrait. So that is why this kind of reactor, a tingling singularity reactor, is perfect for this. Now, the reason why I'm using a rare one is because I don't necessarily want to be carrying a thunder cage at this point in time, because I want to be leveling some other guns. However, you can absolutely get yourself a ultimate version of it, a tingling singularity reactor, which uses a specific legendary. Like in this case, we have Greg's Reverse Fate here. I also have one for the thunder cage. But the bottom line is, and this is, by the way, a tingling phase reactor, so you'll see here that I am missing out on that second skill power boost ratio, which is dimension, not singular. So obviously that's not the best situation. But at the moment right now, I prefer running this. Now, your secondary stuff underneath there also obviously matters. I've got skill critical hit damage on there and electrical skill power boost ratio. You're looking for anything that just increases your damage profile. So something like more crit hit damage, electrical boost, you know, all of those. You can get a bigger radius, which will actually increase the size of, you know, the lightning emissions. So anything like that. You don't want stuff on here like more Kuiper pickups or whatever, you know, any of these other fucking stupid ones that you can get on there, or more damage to Colossus, because you're not going to be using this to fight against Colossuses. So yeah, you want something that actually just boosts your power level. Now, when it comes to the external components, don't think that I'm telling you to go farm the Supernova 4 out of 4 set. You don't need this to have a capable bunny that can run and farm in hard mode. This is extra icing on the cake, and it's super fucking nice to have. But if you don't have this, the main thing that you should be looking for on your external components is survivability. It's a massive surprise to people when they step into hard the first time. Just, you know, they were able to just fly through fucking normal missions, and then suddenly just like basic dudes are fucking shooting you to death with like a burst from their gun. You need to be stacking survivability skills, and your 3 survivability skills in the game is shield, HP, and defense. Now, one of those is, I would say, not good to stack, and that is shield. And the reason for that is that stacking shield means that you have a massive shield pool, but shield depends on you to basically play extremely defensively and to avoid damage for the shield to grow back up. And that is not the way that you're going to be playing bunny, because you're going to be running around a lot and you're literally going to be running up to enemies, so you are going to be taking damage. And then constantly being in the, you know, like shield depleted and getting your health hit isn't going to help you with survivability. It is, however, much better for you to stack HP and stack defense. So yes, this has max shield on it, but obviously it's not the fucking ideal thing for me. But the bottom line is, you want your pieces of your external components, you want them to have 2 defensive stats on, and then possibly a resistance. Yes, you can have other things on like mana recovery and stuff like that, and that'll still be fine. But if you stack these defensibles on these 4, it will make you super tanky, and that is going to help you with farming all of this activity and never having to worry about, oh my god, my life's low, I gotta fucking run away and go regenerate. So defense, HP, and then like a resistance of some kind. So you'll see here, I have fire on here, I've got chill on here, I've got electric on here, and then ideally I would want poison on the bottom one. So we've got all 4 of them covered. That helps you with situations where you're fighting minions that, you know, like enemies that shoot you with poison, shoot you with fire. This happens all the fucking time, and that's usually the stuff that one taps you in hard. So this helps you to deal with that situation. Now, last but not least, let's talk about the actual Descendant mods. Right off the bat, obviously, I've used an energy activator on this bunny, which is, again, not something that I expect you to do. When we look at the no credit card version of this build, this gets you in underneath the module capacity, you know, to have to spend an energy activator. And the bottom line is, this is more than sufficient for you to essentially farm pretty much anything, any repeatable activity with this setup. I would imagine that the 2 most important things, again, for you to get on board and running first is your increased defense and your increased HP. Both of those alongside your components will give you the survivability that you need. Once you have this stuff running, you have a lot less chance of dying, and then you can start concentrating on really fleshing out your damage. Now, again, here, the 2 most important things I would say is you need to increase the size of the lightning emissions, which gives you the opportunity of cleaning out massive camps of enemies by, you know, essentially just standing in the middle of the area or just running in between 2 groups. You'll be able to kill both groups, but skill expansion does a lot of work for us here. Nimble Fingers also helps a lot because this gives us great skill cooldown. Now, the point that we want with lightning emissions is we want almost like 100% uptime. We want this thing to be always going, or at the very least to have a very small window that we aren't firing this off. So as you can see here in the I didn't spend any fucking credit card money version of this build, we can get our cooldown all the way down to 22 seconds. And then we have a duration of 20 seconds. So it means that we have 2 seconds of downtime, which is really not all that much. This is accomplished, of course, by putting Nimble Fingers in here, which gives us all the skill cooldown. Frugal Mindset also helps us because this gives us more range, even more. So now the radius of lightning emissions is massive. Here you can see it's actually double the size of what it starts as originally. It's 7 meters. I've got it all the way up to 15 meters. And then what we also use is Electric Specialist, and essentially however much more module capacity you have open here at the point where you slot in Electric Specialist, that is basically how much you pump up. So if you get 2 or 3 or 4 in here, then great, and then you're filled out. Now, again, this is the, I would say, the light version of the build. So this is not going to be as sexy as the footage that you're seeing and that I have been showing off. but this is gonna still do the work, and this is gonna be an extremely strong baseline for you to then decide if you wanna, you know, start leveling up some of these cells and so on, and just basically start fleshing out, just start fleshing out a lot more of it with, you know, crystallization catalysts. And every crystallization catalyst that you slap in there gets you the ability of, you know, putting more stuff in. And you also get some of those crystallization catalysts by just playing the game. So this is obviously something that you could potentially spend them on. Now, this, as I said, is then the one, and then, sorry, obviously last but not least, you're putting shock punch, any melee, you know, thing in here, because the point is, as many points as you put in there, basically drop the usage of, well, let's say the power level of it, the enhancement level of it, and give you more capacity. So you want to be leveling this up as well. Now, this is my I would say my late game version. So this is pretty much I've got one or two more things that I maybe want to do here. I don't actually want to spend much more Kaipo or anything on this, because this works perfectly well, and you know, there's really no need that anything over this would be, I would, you know, imagine overkill, because this essentially one taps everything, and stuff that's like super tough, this will take like 2 or 3 of the power emission pulses to basically kill, of the lightning emissions. The only difference here being that this includes strong mentality, which decreases my skill cost. This is kind of like one which I might eventually end up replacing with something else. Skill insight, which gives me skill critical hit rate, which means those lightning emissions, those pulses actually can crit a lot more, and that's fucking fantastic. And then also focus on singular, since this is a singular skill that we are concentrating on, which is lightning emissions. This gives me a higher power modifier, and further on drops my cooldown. Now, focus on singular is kind of like, in a way, like the secret sauce, because this gets us very close to that 20-second cooldown, and our duration is 20 seconds. So I have 0.5 second of, you know, downtime with this, and that's pretty much like perfect. You can get it lower, obviously. You can actually get it in underneath 20 seconds by just increasing your points into focus on singular, and then you just literally never have any downtime at all. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments down below how you've set your bunny up, and if you have any suggestions for me or things that I should try out that are even better than what I have here. I'm always open to that. It's one of the things that I like about games like this, is the fact that there's more than one way of doing something, and I always like to test new things. I think by design, it is this way that you need to focus on setting up bunny first before you start tackling other descendants, because the idea is that a strong bunny is going to help you farm out a lot of those components a lot faster. And I think that's something that people need to just make peace with. Whether you like playing the character or not, it is by far the most efficient way to farm things, and you actually, in a way, really slowing down your progress by not having a bunny that can do this kind of content. That being said, it's super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Till next video, fucking cheers.